Greetings and gratitude, everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of the Great Awakening. As we did in the first video, I will read of spiritual insight that I've been gathering over the last several years, and in turn give explanation as to the meaning behind the words with which we're reading. Let's begin. The route with which you journey is shrouded in the unknown, for the unknown creates trust between human and higher self. By surrendering to the alternative and being open to infinite possibility, prepares your soul to instruct the journey moving forward. Reconnection to the knowledge that has always existed ignites within the passion and endurance required to fulfill of the sacred assignment of reawakening to the previously forgotten. As was briefly mentioned in the last video, and what we must recognize, is that we are all spiritual beings in an earthly experience. So when we talk about reawakening to the previously forgotten, it's just that. It's the recognition that we are of spirit. The veil of illusion is real, but the veil itself is of the unconsciousness for which humanity vibrates. Unconsciousness is strictly the unknowing, the forgotten, right? Forgetting that we have direct connection back to source, source being spiritual knowledge and wisdom. So in this first paragraph that we just read, needing to surrender to the unknown is of benefit to the human, right? So much of humanity likes to control, dictate, manipulate occurrences into happening or not happening. But at the end of the day, when we are open to the unknown, in those moments, we are able to tap into our intuition, not our gut reaction, but rather the complete knowing of that of our higher self. By choosing to view through the alternative lens, feelings change and perspectives shift, aligning with the frequency with which your higher self vibrates. Vibrations are energy movements, preparing the way for a newfound resonance. Becoming attuned to the sound of self requires absolute refinement to the intricacies that exist beyond the earthly senses. To make sense of what is being communicated requires removal of all judgment towards self and a clear understanding that better exists through the assistance of the one meant to guide. And of course, the one being your soul, your higher self. Humanity vibrates in a dense form of consciousness, right? The 3D, the third density, or third dimension, which is what humanity calls it. Spirit vibrates in densities between 5th and 13th, right? So it's an accumulation of knowledge that brings you to wisdom. Becoming attuned to the sound of self, right, means that you've taken the opportunity, taken the time to sit with self for self-discovery, to learn who you truly are, not who you are based on what others are telling you, not who you are based in who you thought you were or thought you are, but rather who you truly are. And in order to get to that place, we have to release of all of those narratives, all of those thoughts, right, that pervade our understanding, right? That's how humanity gets stuck. Humanity gets stuck because it deems itself the same as it was a month ago, a year ago, 15 years ago. But with recognition that we are always evolving, if we so choose to, then it's time to release those versions of self to welcome you into the knowing of your higher self. With divine timing in place, circumstances presented to align with your inner voice. You must remove preconceived notion of what shall transpire as depending on your current status within healing will determine the severity of the uncomfortable period with which you're about to take on. This requires full commitment to the realization you are no longer the same version as before. All previous iterations must be removed to secure your ability to move forward as who you were always meant to be. In regard to divine timing, divine right timing is always right when it occurs, right? There's no specified timeline on when an occurrence will happen. It's based in your understanding of the circumstance. It's based in your understanding of the truth that exists, that you are of spirit and not of human. So much of what happens here on earth is based on an accumulation of all the energies that surround you, right? That is where disconnect and chaos stems from. But when you have recognition that you are in charge of the way in which you view, the way in which you perceive, the way in which you do, then you are able to align to a state of being of peace, even though chaos exists within your surrounding. To seek clarity and understanding is the most profound journey you can take. Putting aside earthly beliefs and teachings in pursuit of truth becomes the ultimate mission in moving humanity forward. Connecting with the knowing that the earthly journey is but a small portion of your soul's existence provides understanding and wisdom beyond what the ego can present. By releasing your grasp of control and placing full trust in the unknown, expectation subsides and the magical journey of surrender can begin. So much of how the ego perceives is based in what it's been taught, right? What it knows or perceives to know based in circumstance that it has encountered within this one earthly incarnation. In order for us to move humanity forward, we have to recognize the sacred journey that we're on in order to raise the vibration of the masses through unconditional love. Unconditional love is of Christ consciousness, is the knowing that we as souls come here to earth to awaken or reawaken to the knowing that we have direct connection straight to source. The ego suffers from know-it-all syndrome, but if you allow your soul to step forth, ego will connect to complete understanding and will follow suit with a newfound sense of wisdom. The ego is not viewed as good nor bad, just exists in the knowing that is presented in this current earthly existence. By connecting with your higher self, you allow knowledge from the collection of lifetimes spent on earth to be accessed to gain peace and clarity within self. So this has to be known. We can't view the ego as something that is bad. Now, the ego can hold us back. The ego can keep us stuck. The ego bases all interaction on the notion of right or wrong, whether truth is of reality or not. Harmony exists without bounds. By freeing yourself from the constraints of perceived knowing and accessing the depths of wisdom presented by your soul, limits can be removed and full access to the life you want to lead is laid out before you, merging you with your destiny. The relationship spawned from the merge of the ego and soul creates the new vantage by which to see and know. By removing another's perspective to formulate your own, you invite in your higher self to share with you the infinite wisdom that has always existed within. So back to earlier when we stated we need to reassess and reevaluate and release former versions of self in order to gain the new version or begin the new version. In this regard, it's basically saying we have to remove all other people's perspective on who they think we are. because that can cloud our insight into who we truly are. Infinite wisdom is the tool connecting you to the depths of knowledge collected over many a year. Do not be misguided by humanity's age, as this pales in comparison to the eternal soul. Removing perspectives and viewpoints of the masses creates harmony and clarity within self. Clear heart and mind give complete authority the opportunity to exist and allows the higher self to come forth, guiding you along your destined path. In gratitude, I gift and receive infinite unconditional love to and from you, always and forever.